All right, so today I'll be giving you a quick introduction to behavior-driven development in Ruby. Don't let the Ruby part scare you if you don't know what Ruby is. This should be familiar to all of you regardless. I'm going to switch it up a little bit. I'm going to give you the references first. Everybody asked me about the books, good books to read. These are definitely a must-read, recommended. The RSpec book is a great one. Rails test prescriptions, definitely. The Cucumber book and the Cucumber recipes. So I'll be giving you an introduction. Definitely go get these books and try to learn more. Now, test-driven development. A lot of people might have heard this. It's not a buzzword. TDD is something cool, but like all cool things, it has laws. And like all good things, they come in three. So the three laws. Very simple. You're not allowed to write production code unless you make a failing unit test first. You're not allowed to write anything more code than what is sufficient to make the test fail. And compilation failures are failures. So if you just write a test that calls a function that doesn't exist, that is a failure. And then you're not allowed to write any more production code than is sufficient to make the test pass. So if it's enough to make the test pass and write the name of the function, return true, that's all you need to do. This is the core concept of TDD. This is for you to be able to write your code and make your test pass, and we'll see a little bit why those three laws are important. This translates into this workflow. You start at this point, obviously, and the finish point is here. In between, you start with either a broken test or a green test, depending on where you are in your app. You write a test, write failed test, you get red, you write your code, you fix it or you write new code, you make your green test work, then you refactor and you repeat this cycle. This is the whole idea. Following this short cycle of writing code, you should be able to have the required necessary things, tools to write very good quality tested code that doesn't break, and functional and that does what it's supposed to do. Things to avoid: basically, do not write tests that depend on the system. Do not write dependent tests, things that depend on previous states, right? So your test should be independent, self-contained. Avoid dependencies between tests because obviously you don't want a failure in a previous test to affect your test. So you want things to be independent, and you want to be able to test the right thing that you're focused on. Of course, do not write tests that measure the length of running code or all that stuff. This is stuff that we do not care about. What we care about is writing the test that will target what you're trying to get out of your functional code, right? So these are things to avoid. Now I will go back, because this is the important part, is this loop. This is just another form of the previous loop. So you write a test. If the test succeeds, you go back, check if test fails, you write production code, run all tests. If all the tests succeed, you clean up, you refactor, and repeat. What this gives us is a test-driven application, right? Test-driven development. What does that mean? It means the tests drive the application design. It means that whatever the code you're writing in your application is going to be designed by the test that you've given. Meaning that you will not write code that has no meaning or no value or no functionality that is not required, because supposedly you've written the test to tell you what you need to write code for. This, in my opinion, is incomplete, because what we really want is the behavior to drive the application design, right? Because what are we building the application for? We're building the application for our users. So the user's behavior need to be the one driving how we build our application. So what does that mean? It means behavior-driven development, BDD. This is a good quote of what it's supposed to be. BDD is a second generation, outside-in, pull-based, multiple stakeholder, multiple scale, high automation, agile methodology. It describes a cycle of interactions with well-defined outputs, resulting in the delivery of working tested software that matters. So it's a long quote. What does it mean? It means that you're looking from the outside. You're looking at how the users are supposed to be working with your application, what the things that the users need to do. From that, so these are your multiple stakeholders. Right? From that, you're building an automated way, which is agile, right? That describes your application and then tests that your application does what it's supposed to do, does what you've described it and expect from it to do. Now again, we have the three laws. Define a test set first for the unit that you're doing. Implement the unit, write the functional code for it. Verify that the implementation makes the test succeed. Right? So how does this look for our whole thing is we've had the TDD one right here where you add a test, you run the test. If it fails, make the change, run the developer test again. We've added this section to it, which says, all right, now I have to get my acceptance test, meaning I have to go to my client or go to my users and figure out what is it that they want, what is it that we want to build, and get the acceptance test for it. Write the acceptance test and run it, make the changes, run the acceptance test again and loop, of course, by going through this, right? So what does this mean? It means BDD is a superset of TDD, at least in my opinion. In BDD, you're getting the behavior, you're writing the acceptance test that tests that behavior, then going in details, running the unit test, and then going in the loop and going back and forth, right? So this is a quick introduction. This ties in very well to Agile. Some people here saw me give a talk on Agile tour a few weeks ago. This ties in very well to Agile methodologies. Why? Because in Agile, you write user stories, right? You go to your client, you write user stories together, or your users or whatever, and you use these user stories to define what the app is supposed to be. And here, BDD is saying, okay, we need to have a specification as a ubiquitous language. Now, in some cases, this language is called Gherkin, in the case of Cucumber and Ruby that we will see very shortly. And you write the story in this case, in this format, right? In order to, so why am I building this feature? In order to keep track of stock, who am I as a store owner? This could be any user, right? Any persona that you have in your application. I want to do XYZ. I want to perform this action. I want to add items back to stock when they're returned, right? And then you have multiple scenarios for this feature. Each scenario defines a given, which is the context. It could be multiple lines of given, so given and, you define your context. When is the action, and then is the result. And you can have multiple results as well, so you have then, and, etc., right? So where's the rupee part? The rupee part is here. Right? So we took that same language, we put it in our document here. We have, in this case, it's not called a story, it's called a feature. Fill shipping address information. This is a regular cart, checkout cart, etc., right? So I have my context, I have my story definition. In the background, I have my context that is the same for all my scenarios, and then for each scenario, I have the specific context. When I click next, then my shipping address is added to the cart, blah, blah, blah. So these are the results. The nice thing about this is that now I can take this and run it as executable. Why? Because I have a tool that's called Cucumber, right? That takes this language, looks at it, and is like, okay, what is this? How can I run this? And it looks at, so I am in fill shipping address feature. I go to fill shipping address steps, and it takes this language, this semi-formal English language, and tries to figure out what it means in terms of code. So I have here a bunch of stuff, right? I'm setting up here my context saying I have filled my shipping address correctly. I have full name, country, state, city, etc. And I say within the shipping address form, right? Fill in this field with this value. Select from this drop down the country, this value, right? Fill in this field, fill in, and checkbox, etc. This is executable code that translates the English language that we have and allows it to run. So finally, I can just come here and say, bundle exec cucumber, and hopefully the demo gods are shining bright on us today and this very nice day, okay. And there we go. We got scenarios that are running, and you can see it prints out green for success, red if there are any for failure, like there are a bunch here, and yellow for pending. The nice thing about this is now I have, if I can scroll up, zoom out a little bit here. That. Right, it's a little bit too small, but you'll have to trust me on this. I have here the scenario is printed out, and I can use this as documentation for my application, and I can give it to my clients and say, hey, this is my acceptance test. My app does what you expect it to do, and I can verify that. So that's it. Thank you.